hope you all are doing well now. As you can see, it's the holiday time. We got a little holiday break here. And it's a time of season when kids have time off and parents will sit down, and a lot of homeschoolers will sit down and figure out where they're going. They'll evaluate their circumstance and evaluate their situation and see, am I on track? And so I just wanted to check in with you and see how you're doing, and maybe, hopefully, if you've gotten off track, give you some tips of how to get back on track. Let me introduce myself. My name is Renee Brooks. I'm a former homeschooling mom of 6 children, 2 boys, 4 girls. All are grown and gainfully employed. When I homeschooled my children, the things that kept me on track were teaching the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Everything that your child or your children are going to learn is going to fall into one of those 3 categories. And if you stay on track, if you do those things every single day, your child will do well. We made sure that we read every day. We made sure that we wrote something every day, and that included penmanship. So, well, of course, it would include penmanship, but you write something every single day, and then you would do arithmetic every single day. And that really kept us on track. I encourage you to do that. In discovering, well, first of all, let me just tell you that I'm an auditory and a visual learner. But one of my children she just read. She could learn everything by reading. And we had a really hard time. We tussled with it back and forth because I wasn't communicating well with her. I just didn't know how to reach her. But I figured out, like, instinctively that people had different learning styles. And so a friend of mine gave me a particular book. I read this particular book and went, whoa. And in the book, it offered an assessment. And so I gave my daughter the assessment. And I first of all, read the book, and then, of course, gave her the assessment and figured out that, wow, I learn one way. But you know what ends up happening? Teachers tend to teach the way that they learn rather than teaching the way that the student learned. And so I found out that I realized, especially with 6 children and then myself, so 7 people involved and 7 people having different personalities and different learning styles and so forth, I realized that I had to step back and I had to realize how they learned. And once I figured out how my children learn, then I was able to feed them the information necessary and put everything in front of them that encouraged them and gave them a joy and a love for learning. We had our ups and downs, but once I got that tackled and, dealt with it and realized it about myself, that I was teaching based on how I learned versus how they learned. Once I got that all figured out, we were able to just fly by and do really well. So back to the reading, writing, and arithmetic. When your child reads, you can now dictate or shape what they're going to learn. You can either decide that you're going to work on history. You can decide if you want to work on science or civics or any of the subjects that required reading. We focused on writing. So, I mean, little kiddos, you teach them how to write, when they're little kids, but then, and write simple sentences. But then as they get older, you want to teach them how to write different kinds of writing. And I believe there's like 9 of them. There's, what do you have? Expository writing, and then there's narratives, and there's persuasion, and there's technical writing, and diaries, and so on and so forth. So as they, progress, you'll want to challenge them and teach them how to write in other kinds of ways. And then, of course, there's the 3rd R, which is math. And with math in the beginning, it's arithmetic, and then you'll transition into mathematics. So I told myself that if I did those things every single day, reading, writing, and arithmetic every single day, and then took like these down times when you have like the holiday times and you have, all the other, kids in other learning environments are out for 2 weeks. So they call it the winter break. I took that time to say, okay, knock yourself out, have a lot of fun. I went and assessed and just took some time. And, of course, had my downtime. And, then just, evaluated and said, okay, where do I want to go? Where do I want my kids to go? How do I want them to proceed? Where do I want to see them at the end of summertime or the next spring break? So we did that. So I hope that gives you a little bit of help. If you like anything that you've heard me say, like or subscribe my channel. I would appreciate it. And the next time I'll talk about the 7. Well, some people say there's 7 ways, and some people say there's 12 learning styles, but we can talk about that so that you can assess your child, because the to me, the whole thing of homeschooling is not so much to cram a whole bunch of information into a child's head, but to teach that child to be a lifelong learner. And that can only happen if a child appreciates learning and figures out how he or she learns, so that they can continue and they can take in everything. I tell you a little story. I have plantar fasciitis, right? And I am learning now things about the feet. I'm a lifelong learner, and I hope that curiosity never ends for me. And I'm learning how to, yeah, the anatomy of the foot and everything, because I have heel pain. But once I tell my kids that, they're giving me remedies and this and that, and I'm on the internet and learning about feet. And that's what you want for your child. You want your child to be a lifelong learner. So it doesn't just end with 12th grade or college or anything like that, but they will continue to learn and to investigate and to think critically the rest of their lives. So anyway, like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions about what I did and how I managed 6 kids, I'll do a video on that. I'll share with you, what we did, because at some point, I mean, my oldest is in his 40s and my youngest is just turned 30. So, there's a bunch of things that I can share with you on how we managed. But anyway, I hope to talk to you and see you the next time. All right. Bye-bye.